Good afternoon. I suppose I don't need to say this, but I'm incredibly pleased by the Port Commissioner's vote today, as all San Diegans should be. The approval of the land sale agreement marks a critical step forward in the effort to make one of San Diego's most reliable economic engines, our convention center, an even more powerful driver of our economy. This proposed expansion will broaden the opportunities to host conventions so that we can remain competitive with Los Angeles, Anaheim, Phoenix, and the rest of convention centers in the West. And also other cities that offer enough space to host some of the most lucrative events, which San Diego misses out on simply because our center lacks the convention floor space to accommodate them. When we miss out on these conventions, we miss out on hotel tax dollars they bring, plus the spending and sales tax in our restaurants and shops and business services. Ultimately, this means San Diegans are missing out on work to support their families. The city also has less in hotel and sales taxes to pay for city services that make San Diego a great place to live, our parks, our libraries, and police and fire protection. Comic-Con, and I wanted Spider-Man here today, but he couldn't make it, is the most prominent example of the events that we risk losing because we've outgrown our convention center. But it's by no means the only example. There are many more lucrative events at risk as well. With today's approval of the land agreement, we'll be able to move forward to the next stage of planning and financing for the expansion. I want to thank the commissioners, particularly Commissioners Cushman, Burdick, and Smith, for their personal and tireless efforts to forge this agreement. Now, Steve and I have frequently talked. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't, but Steve has been a champion on this phase as he was the first two phases. And I want to thank Steve for all of his hard work. I also want to thank Cheryl Kendrick, who along with Steve co-chaired the task force to actually explore the feasibility of this, and I'm grateful for her leadership on this also. I appreciate Commissioner Valderrama, the chair of the board, and Bob Nelson and Carol Wallace and the entire Convention Center board for their tireless work on all of this. This approval will set the course for us to create jobs and keep our economy growing well into the future. Today's a great day for San Diego. And you're speaking.
My name is Bob Nelson, N-E-L-S-O-N. I'm chairman of the board of the San Diego Convention Center Corporation. Well, as the mayor has said, it is a great day for San Diegans as this agreement moves us closer to generating new jobs, new tourist revenues to fund essential city services, and new opportunities to enhance the waterfront for visitors and for residents alike. This is a major milestone in our efforts to expand this regional economic engine, which has transformed San Diego into a world-class meeting and convention destination and help make tourism one of the top 3 industries in our region. Expansion of the convention center will stimulate $700 million annually in new economic activity on top of the $1.3 billion a year the convention center already generates, plus 7,000 new full-time jobs throughout San Diego County. With this new agreement, the convention center will work with the port on environmental studies and construction permits. Public input will be a big part of this process, and we look forward to receiving advice and support from the community as we move forward. As our recent efforts to secure future bookings of Comic-Con International demonstrate, we need more space to keep our most valuable clients and to ensure that San Diego remains the top choice for West Coast conventions into the decades ahead. Mayor Jerry Sanders deserves special recognition for his strong leadership during this process. His creation of a task force last year was a critical part of getting us to this important step. The mayor's strong and steady hand helped bring the parties together during lengthy negotiations. Without his leadership, this agreement would not have been possible today. Thanks also to the port for their continued commitment to a vibrant waterfront that is both an environmental asset and a critical component of our economy. The port paid to build the initial convention center in the 1980s and partnered with the city to help pay for the expansion that opened in 2001. This ongoing partnership between the port, the City of San Diego, and the Convention Center Corporation is something of which we can all be proud. My fellow Convention Center Corporation directors deserve credit for their hard work and diligent planning for this expansion. I particularly want to recognize my predecessor as board chair, Mr. Chris Kramer, and his predecessor, Cheryl Kendrick, who also served as co-chair of the Mayor's Task Force studying the feasibility of expansion. Finally, thanks to the Convention Center's CEO, Carol Wallace, for her outstanding leadership. Even in these tough economic times, Carol, her management team, and hundreds of dedicated employees who serve our clients have made San Diego's Bayside Convention Center one of the most successful facilities in the world and one of our region's strongest and most reliable economic engines.
Can we answer any questions?
Mayor, of course, how do we pay for all of this?
Well, that's what the next phase is about. I've said that no taxpayer funds will be spent on this in terms of general fund dollars from the City of San Diego, but we'll be working with all of our partners, the industries that are most affected by this, to work out a financing plan.
This land was appraised at 4.7, yet the lease is $14.5 million. How is that a good deal for the taxpayers of the city?
Well, first of all, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm going to try to answer that. It's 4.7 if you're going to use some uses, but to expand the convention center, and the only way that you can expand the convention center, obviously, it becomes more valuable. And that's what we took into account as the convention center made the deal to do this.
Can you describe any safeguards that I believe were built into the lease agreement in case things don't work out?
You know, I'm in a little bit over my head on this, so I'm going to turn it over to someone else.
Yeah, listen, first of all, the agreement between the Convention Center Corporation and Fifth Avenue Landing provides that we will make an initial payment of $1 million. We will subsequently make annual payments of $500,000 for the next 4 years. At the end of that time, the entire balance would become due. At any time during that process, if the city or the Convention Center Board determines that the project is not feasible, we would terminate the payments, hand the keys back to Fifth Avenue Landing, and without recourse, they would then once again own the leasehold.
So they would get to keep whatever you had paid in your installments to that point?
That's correct. But the way we set it up is we can take this in a measured, year-by-year decision as we move through the environmental process and as we seek financing for the larger project.
Does the Convention Center had any year in the past in a rep?
Well, as with all convention centers in the United States, we require some amount of subsidy from the city in order to be able to attract large conventions to the city. So there's no convention center anywhere that operates absolutely in the black. Everyone requires, unless you own a casino like Mandalay Bay, and that's an idea. Get Verona down here. So the answer is yes and no. We operate it. We have an operating profit, but we also have to pay money out in order to attract future conventions, and that requires subsidy from the city.
Can you give us some idea how much money you turn away each year because we don't have the space?
A lot. Every year we turn down almost as much business as we have in the building, so that's going to be something on the order of $30 million a year on average.